History of the Queen Elizabeth name. Despite the hype surrounding the Royal Navy's latest carrier, the name HMS Queen Elizabeth is not a new one. True to Navy tradition, the name first appeared in 1913 as the lead vessel of a class of battleships. Decades later, the stillborn CVA-01 prevented the Queen from ruling both sea and skies. It would take a further 60 years before the Royal Navy received the fleet carriers it needed. R08, R09, the Royal Navy's supercarrier revival. In a head-to-head comparison, Queen Elizabeth trumps her predecessors in every respect. Weight and size alone make this the largest ship ever operated by the Royal Navy. Despite her impressive build, weight, and size, the Queen Elizabeth is 40,000 tons lighter than the USS Gerald R. Ford. In 2017, the 72,000-ton carrier reinforced the Royal Navy's status as a blue water navy. Able to project sustained power worldwide at a cost of $3.45 billion each, the Royal Navy has two of the class in service. The world's largest hybrid. Outside the U.S. Navy, only France operates a nuclear-powered carrier. The Royal Navy, on cost and political grounds, chose a conventional propulsion system. Despite a reliance on combustible fuels, the Queen Elizabeth is a floating EV. At the stern, twin propellers can push the carrier to speeds of up to 25 knots during routine operations. Buried further inside her hull, a complex system of motors and generators punch out 258,000 shp. In routine use, 4 Wärtsilä 16 volts 38 marine diesel engines provide power to drive the vessel. But, for added urgency, the carrier could call upon a pair of Rolls-Royce MT-30 gas turbines. 2 islands are better than one. As impressive a sight the Queen Elizabeth and her sister ship the Prince of Wales are, there can be no mistaking the class for any other vessel. The odd twin conning or control towers are unique to the Royal Navy, and serve practical purposes. From an operational perspective, splitting navigation from flight operations makes perfect sense. In the worst-case scenario that either is non-functional, the two are interchangeable. Now for the clever part, 2 separate conning towers also add stability with less cross-deck buffeting. F-35B Lightning Air Wing. Any carrier without aircraft to provide air cover is a sitting duck. Once the Sea Harrier retired, the RN looked elsewhere for a modern replacement. The F-35B lighting is as modern as carrier-based jets come. Like the Harrier before it, the Lightning can operate from a smaller flight deck. The F-35B's innovative vectored thrust does away with the need for cats and traps. On takeoff, the F-35B makes use of the carrier's forward-facing ski jump. While on return, a slower approach speed reduces stress on both aircraft and carrier. During routine deployments, Queen Elizabeth carries 24 F-35Bs with space for up to 36 jets. Rotary air power. The number of aircraft Queen Elizabeth can accommodate is much higher than the 36 jets. Part of the carrier arsenal is reserved for rotary aircraft tasked with a variety of roles. In the critical anti-submarine role, Merlin HM2, HC-4Ss are among the larger helicopters on board. The biggest, however, reflecting the flexibility of Queen Elizabeth's design, is the Chinook. Reserved for troop movement, this giant helicopter is one of the largest in service. For the Queen, even this giant is no problem. Each of the carrier's lifts can accommodate 2 at a time with their rotors extended. Close-in defense capability. Valuable lessons learned during the 1982 Falklands conflict have improved ship defenses. At the core of Queen Elizabeth's defense are her F-35 aircraft. But even without the jets, getting close to the carrier is impossible. Always in close company, the Royal Navy's Type 45 destroyers are a formidable guard. There is one last line of defense capable of taking down any inbound threat. At each of the flight deck corners, Phalanx CIWS turrets are a relative of the Vulcan M61. Radar controlled, this last chance weapon spits out 4,500 rounds per minute. Any moving object straying too close is as good as dead. Time for a pit stop. With her engines burning diesel, Queen Elizabeth on deployment will need refueling. With no gas stations to pull up at, the replenishment task falls to the RFA support vessels. Now you could argue that nuclear power would remove this need, but jets also need gas. Brimmed with diesel and aviation fuel, Queen Elizabeth holds 7 million liters of fuel. Of that, 4 million feed the immense Wärtsilä engines. At cruising speeds that equate to 10,000 nautical miles between top-ups,